shit. Welcome back. Glad you made it. It's another So production. We're doing it, boys and girls, ladies and gents, on Monday, January the 9th, 2023. Let's get used to that one. Welcome back. It's another episode. We're going to just have some fun today. If you're just joining me, it's your first time, buckle up. Follow me on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Check out patreon.com/robsadri. If you've been with your boy for some time now, you know what it is. Hope you're doing well wherever you are in and around this beautiful planet, aka the blue floating marble, whether you're here in Toronto, anywhere in Canada, down south in the US, Mexico, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Thailand, Indonesia, all the islands. What's up, baby boys, baby girls? Let's get right into it. Today's going to be a loose episode, not gonna lie. It's going to be a little bit later than usual as well. But I'll just tell you right off the bat, I'm recovering from a little bit of a personal battle with the old wisdom tooth. As you can probably tell, this left side of my face is swollen. It's gone better. But over the past few days, man, oh man, Friday evening it kicked. I thought it'd be just like, oh, whatever. It's the last portion of the old wisdom tooth coming in. It should be breezy, no problem. Friday evening, it starts to hurt. It starts to swell up. My throat is all just like, oh man, what is going on? I'm swallowing my own blood, which is lovely. At first it was weird because I was swallowing my blood and it hurt in my throat. I'm like, is this a cold? Am I coming down with a cold? Because this iron body, this iron mind, this iron spirit does not, it doesn't jive with us right now because we're on a roll, baby. We're taking it day by day, mini baby, little teeny tiny baby steps, but we're taking it day by day. I'm like, oh man. Is this a hindrance, a health hindrance? Oh, I can't see. Today's going to be one of those episodes where that's the thing too. The wisdom tooth is coming in and I've been biting on loose gum. So it's intermittently bleeding in my throat. And I've bitten myself several times inside. It's a whole mess in there. It's a disgusting mess of it's better. It's much better now. You guys should have seen me on Friday evening, Saturday morning. Oh man, look like, oh, what's going on with this fella? Looked like I had a lump in my face, just a big old lump. I could have gotten some conversations perhaps and maybe gotten some sympathy with people like, oh, I'm going down with the old face whatevs, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, how much longer you got? 6 months. Can I blow you, they say. I'm like, you don't need to go that far. Just a little bit of sympathy is nice. But I'm not looking for that kind of, attention anyway. But I'm just letting you know if today, boy's in a little bit of pain. I'm pilled up, I'm pilled down. I don't know what pill I took. There's a bottle in my medicine cabinet, one bottle. And for some reason, I've removed the sticker on it. I don't even know what it is. It could be Tylenol, it could be Advil, it could be, I don't even know what it is. But it's aided me in a little bit of the journey, but we're getting through it nonetheless. We're just gonna have some fun today. And yeah, does it hurt when I talk? Absolutely. Do we like the pain? Yes, pain is not so much pleasure, but it's like a little subtle, oh, I'm gonna grab like some fake feathers and just give you like a little oh, what is this? Feather on my butt? Oh, that kind of it's nice. It's a little bit of oh, let me just little teeny tiny clamps on the old nips. Very similar situation, but again, the taste of the blood in my mouth is like, man, what is going on? It's like eating pussy when it's on the old, when you're getting visited by Aunt Flo ladies. It's like, not that I've ever done that, but I've come close to it, not during the heavy flow period of the menstrual cycle, but a few days after, what's happening? What is that I taste? A little bit of iron? We're either finishing or just starting up, but that's just your boy. To each their own. And it's a little bit comforting at the same rate. I'm like, man, I also feel like a prized fighter, or just a fighter rather, but then again, I've always felt like a fighter, so it's like, oh, you're just gonna take a look. Oh, he took a couple right there in the face. You're bleeding inside the mouth. Swallow, spit it out. I wish I had a spit bucket. That would have been nice. Somebody in my corner just holding a spit bucket. Keep going, champ, keep going. Biting myself. But that's life, man. You keep going. You keep rocking and rolling wherever you are. I hope you're doing well. I hope, if you're going through some sort of growth, and that's the thing too. That's enough of growing. In terms of bodily growth, I'm all capped out. All right, no more. I don't want any more form of wisdom coming through bodily pain. Oh, we're gonna just stretch the old skin here. Your ball sack's gonna droop just a half an inch every 10 years. What? wisdom teeth. It's gonna come out, but in portion. It's gonna bleed and it's gonna hurt like hell. Why? Why? What is this? What are we doing here? But nonetheless, I'm happy I'm going through it. It's a human experience. Any of you guys have experienced it out there? Shout out to you guys and gals. If you've not experienced it thus far, it's gonna catch up to you. It'll be your turn soon, son. Lady, buckle up. It's a whole world of just you against yourself. Can you overcome the factor of pain? Of, whatever else the factor may be. Can you overcome it? And yes, we can. Together we can, ladies and gents. Let's give a sip of this. My God, it's hurting like a bitch, dude. And that's the thing. It reminds me of how stupidly fragile we are. Ow! And I keep biting myself. It's just raw, and there's just raw flesh. Just take it. I just want to take it and just chuck it away. And if I could just 3D print one right now and just jam it in there so it fits perfectly fine, I'd do it. But I don't have access to that kind of tech yet. Working on it. Them little piglets are just like equipped with kidneys and livers. Bring the left jaw, bring the left gum, bring the old wisdom tooth that is already, popped out, ready to be installed. Let's go with that bad boy. This is just like, oh. But again, it reminds me of how fragile, like that's the thing. You look into the animal kingdom, babies come out the old female vag and they're like, oh, they stumble and fall for a couple of minutes, but under 5 minutes, they're up and walking. Some are running, licking placenta off themselves. We're tough, but we're also, again, it's these little things. It's not a big deal, but it just does remind, and thank God to modern medicine. You know what I mean? Back in the day, if you got a little infection here and there, good Lord, call it a day. But at the old, what is it? 33. 33 is a good age. I feel good. This is nice, but again, I'm like, I think this is the last bit of wisdom teeth pain and growth pains. I don't think I'm getting stretch marks anywhere else. So that's that, baby boys, baby girls, wherever you are. If you are going through any sort of growing pains, you're like, oh, I'm just doing a lot of bench press, a lot of them deadlifts. I get stretch marks on my thighs, on my quads, on my ass. I can somewhat relate to that because we're just all growing, aren't we, in different ways? But let's have some fun. Been thinking about different topics, been reading different stuff, been, coming across different news, and we'll go through a bunch of it. Let's see where the stories take us. And yeah, we're just gonna, it's Monday. Let's rock and roll. Let's start off with, I did hear this one. This one's a doozy. This one's a man, oh man. 6-year-old child shoots a teacher. Pow, 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 pow. I don't know how many times, but 6-year-old shoots a teacher somewhere in the US, which is, man, horrible news. I think the teacher's fine. I think the professor's fine. But at the same rate, it's like, 6-year-old is like, that's bad, that's horrible, but it is somewhat impressive in terms of like, I'm just thinking to myself, when I was 6, I was with a soccer ball. I was with like tying my own shoes sometimes, if it was Velcro especially. God, excelled at that. But like to be able to, take a gap, make sure it's like filled with bullets. Was the gun even empty when he got it? Did he fill it up with bullets himself? How does he even know how to work that thing at 6? Enough to go and shoot somebody, which is like, again, horrible, but in a, in an evil, twisted way, it's kind of like, man, impressive. If you're like looking at your child and it's like, man, I want to raise a kid that's going to just be, some sort of evil genius at like 6 figuring out gats and shit. But also it may not be like a evil genius situation. It may be just like, oh, a case of neglect. Classic case of neglect, often mistaken for classic little evil genius. Who knows? We'll see. But how do you even treat that? Do you because they're 6. They can't even, they're 6, dude. They're like this big. It's like this big, this baby. Just this baby rolled out of bed yesterday, or a few days ago, and just went to right there onto the teacher, unloading lead at the ripe old age of 6. You gotta, and then in the news you can't even call him a baby anymore. You can't say child because like the crime is heavy. The act of crime is heavy. You gotta say young man, and you're like, oh, young man, at least late teens? No, 6 years old. And that's holy smokes. But also, is there like, what do they, many a question has got to be asked. How do you tackle it? I'll tell you one thing. If that teacher, if many teachers at this point, let's just, I'm not like, obviously I've never been pro violence, unless you're taking it to the MMAs and the UFCs, or some sort of facility where it's like, oh, we're gonna just like get in here and like be sanctioned fighters or something. That sort of violence, I can get behind that. But yeah, how do you counter that? I don't know. Maybe if the teacher was strapped, coming in with an or like have a couple of have a couple of little pistols, just like wah, little 6-year-old, what's going on? Think you're the only one with the little gat, right there, right back at you. I don't know. Fight it with like, because that's the thing. It's not like this is not, again, this is, I don't know what the, but how do you, it would have been like if the teacher got shot, and then like, that's the thing. What do? Do you shoot the 6-year-old? Shoot him in the arm, shoot him in the leg. It is a harder target just given the fact that they're tiny. And I'm not saying do this at all, but I'm just saying like, it would have been like at least a fair fight. Give her like at least a knife or something, like a little, foldable little sword that she could like whip out and like deflect bullets if she's really good at it. But that just takes way too much time and effort. I'm talking like a little teeny tiny gat with a laser pointer. Oh, don't even think about it, little fella. Pointing it right there at their hand or at their feet. I'm just saying, now again, I'm not condoning this, but I'm saying, man, if a couple of teachers, maybe not that team, maybe if you just like had a couple of teachers, maybe this is, I've had to actually give this a lot of thought throughout the years, because I don't know what the solution is. When I was younger, when I was naive and like younger, as a teenager myself, you'd hear of stories of, oh, school shootings and shit. You're like, okay, we'll just get rid of guns, the whiskers above your upper lip get a little bit, thicker. They start coming in a little bit more. You get a little bit more chest hair. Your balls drop a little bit. You make a few mistakes. You learn from them. You grow, and then the years go by, and you're like, maybe that's not the solution. Maybe that's not such an easy solution. Because you take away guns from good people, then only the bad guys have guns. Classic good guys with no guns, bad guys got all the guns story. Classic. But this is not even the scenario with this little situation, because it's a little fella. It's not like, it's not even like a teenager. It's 6 years old, which is, again, impressive for all the wrong reasons, but nonetheless impressive. And I'm just saying, a pair of nunchucks for the teacher is just a couple of, ninja stars, a smoke bomb, something. Make it a fair fight. Point is, that is, that's something to think about. And it's, man, that is wild, dude. 6 years old. I can't believe it. It has happened. We can only do better from now, and like beating that would be like, next thing, it would have to be like, oh my God, toddler takes a gat and does something. You're like, a toddler? How does a 3 years old? That's, if we're doing better in terms of like that's not so much better. That's actually probably worse. But in terms of like human capability, this is, again, not a good feat to be accomplished, if you will. But, in terms of like 6-year-olds, this kid's like, man, on another level. Completely, the other kids, I don't know what the other kids are doing. Again, I'm not condoning any of them. I'm just saying impressive for all the wrong reasons. Can we agree there, and maybe perhaps, think about other stuff perhaps. But that's life, man. What are you guys doing? It's Monday. Let's get it going. Let's have some fun. Been thinking about a lot, been reading a lot. This other thing that got my attention, another story. We're just going to go through stories today. It's story time after all. I'm going to go with it, and I'll just call it No Mo Paintings. No Mo Paintings. No Mo Paintings. What am I talking about? Some of you guys might have read the article. Some of you guys might have heard the story. I believe what was the story, if I may recollect correctly? A professor was promoted at her university because in the art history class, she depicted a painting of the Prophet Muhammad and in the Islamic faith. That is, she posted a picture in the art history seminar class, and because of it, she was promoted in her job. She was a lot of people. She got a lot of support from a lot of people. Nobody came after her. She kept her. Not only did she keep her job, she got promoted because she's like teaching people about different stuff, especially stuff that is perhaps, that's of another world, essentially. The old East meets West, the old West meets East. Where does it begin? Where does it end? We're on a globe, y'all. So it's all like one and the same, but at the same rate. Yeah. So wait, I think I'm getting that maybe right, maybe wrong. I don't know. Maybe she was promoted, or maybe she was fired. I'm gonna go with probably she was. She was fired. No, let's call it what it is. she was fired because she depicted a painting of the Prophet Muhammad in her art history class, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the thing, man. So it brings about this cool little debate, or a little thought that I've not even fully, I'm grappling with it myself at this point. I'm grappling with. I do think I have my, inclinations of where I want to like go with it, but we'll have to figure. What do you guys think? Because here's the thing: it came down to it. Apparently, in the Islamic faith, it is prohibited by some, or at least frowned upon by some members of the Islamic faith or community, that it is, it's no bueno if you depict the picture of the Prophet or any photos with his face or himself. I don't know too much of it. It's not appropriate. Apparently, it's like sacrilege. If you show Muhammad, you're like, oh, you're like, oh man, it's gonna go down. According to some, some practice it that way. Others are like, no, it's cool. You can totally show, pictures of Mo, pictures of Mo, more photos of Mo. The more the merrier. They'll say that. More photos, more money, more problem. No, this one doesn't, resonate with that. More money, more problems. No, something about Mo and photos, and that's the thing, man. Some people were like, oh man, you're coming down and you're like discriminating against, like, this is Islamophobia, and others were like, no, this is not Islamophobia. This is just like, we're just talking about, a person or prophets or a figure in stories and history, depending on your beliefs, your ideologies and what have you. But that's what it is, man. She lost her job. Excuse me. She lost her job. She should have kept her job, in my opinion. But that's, yeah, and it's tricky, but that's the thing, you can the argument from, I guess, the Islamic point of view, I guess the ones that are like, oh, this is sacrilege or you shouldn't, is like, oh, you're discriminating against us somehow. But but that's given the fact, if we're looking at it fairly objectively from like all angles, given the fact that you have the privilege of living in Western society and enjoying all of Western society, all of that Western society has to offer, from schooling, medicine, healthcare, safety, security, all that jazz, the good. You get to enjoy all that, to partake in that aspect of it, and then still be able to practice your religion. But as soon as somebody is interested really in terms of wanting to learn more, and if it doesn't coincide with your method or with your ideology or with your paradigm, all of a sudden it's like being Islamophobic, which is, and even that's the thing within, it's interesting because even within the Islamic community, apparently there is, separation of thought there as well. So you can't even say that this is like, oh, it's one way of looking at it, even in an Islamic world, in Islamic countries, which is interesting. But it was, the more interesting point was the university fired this lady instead of like backing her and be like, no, this is how we do it up in here in Western society, freedom of speech and all that good. We back it up and we're all about like freedom of expression. And there's no like, and it gets tricky because it's like, it's not even like a bad photo of the Prophet, it's not even like it's just like a depiction of what he would have looked like, maybe, who knows, right? And it gets tricky because it's like, oh, what if it's like, okay, where do you even draw the line? Or where can you, because you can pretty much joke about or talk about almost any other religion and it's fine. You can talk about Christianity, joke around about Christ. You can talk about Buddha. You can talk about Buddhism. You can talk about the Jewish faith. You can make fun of atheists. You can, make a lot of this, that, and the other. But this is like, oh, this is like it's like a topic that you're not supposed to talk about, or even like, that's the thing. It's, you're not even supposed to, I guess, frame it in just a scholarly manner. This isn't even like a picture where it's not even like a caricature. You know what they're not even making. It's just like a real depiction of the Prophet, which is, yeah, because like, and it's all about, in my mind, it's all about absolute freedom of speech and expression. I say you got to be able to, like, in Western society, at least, these are our standards, these are our morals and ethics. You can pretty much say anything and do anything as long as it's not like, as long as you're not physically, in my opinion, at least, I don't know. It's one of those things to be, talked about. Because again, as our world gets more and more diluted, it gets more diverse, we do have these things that we do need to sort out little by little, just so we know what we're doing. Not saying it's a big issue, but it is like one of those little teeny tiny things that is, you know, potential for, you know, it's nice to talk about it. It's nice to get it out. And I think these are actually wonderful times. I think this is the time for talking and listening to one another. This is not a bad thing whatsoever. But that's the thing. I think Western society definitely views the world in a particular way. And Eastern society, and again, these are grand generalizations, but to say that they have different worldviews is probably, you know, but nonetheless, we do have a lot of similarities. That doesn't mean that we can't, you know, come to understanding. And you know, and that's the thing. Some people see it as like a depiction. Any depiction is like disrespect, where it's like a regular picture. It shouldn't be, you know, I don't think anybody means that as disrespect. But what if somebody wanted to disrespect? Because you do see that's the beauty of Western society. We do have the freedom to be like, if I'm not down with whatever, if you're not down with like Christianity, you can be like, you know, F this or F that or whatever, you know, to each their own. I'm not saying go ahead and do that, but you have the freedom to do that. If you don't, you know, see aligned ideologies between yours and, you know, another faith or religion, you could just be like, whatever, it's not, or you can make a joke, you can make and everybody can take it and everybody can understand that not everything is for everybody. But that's, you know, just, I don't even know where I was going with that, dudes. Lady, but what do you guys think? What about, you know, what if it's not even like, you know, because there have been obviously a reason why I'm talking about this, because I believe it was, what was that French cartoon magazine I want to say? Oh gosh, it's skipping my mind right now. It's skipping my mind, but they are famous for, you know, caricatures, cartoons, and a few years ago, I believe they came under attack, like physically, I think. Man, what were their names? Gosh, it is Charlie Hebdo. Yeah, Charlie Hebdo. I think that's the name of the publishing company, and they came out, you know, they got attacked because they were, you know, depicting cartoons or caricatures of, I don't even remember what, maybe something to do with like, again, concerning Islam or the Islamic faith or what have you. It could be anything, but that's the thing. It's like you could talk about anything or almost anything without any real repercussions, but sometimes you talk about certain things even from the sake of just pure inquiry and thirst for knowledge. You're thirsty for knowledge. You're like, man, let's just have a look at this fella on a painting. And all of a sudden you have a student going in there who's like, man, or she's like, I feel like this is Islamophobia, whilst living in a Western society, Western country. I believe that one, I believe if I'm, no, it was not. This case was not in France. I believe this was actually in the US as well, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to check, to be honest with you, because who cares where it was? The idea is there. We can all think about it. And what do you guys and gals think? Do you guys think that it is, we should, you know, be able to talk about anything we want and discuss anything we want? Obviously, I'm not saying this is not to, you know, this is not, you know, you got to do believe in that old responsibility with the old freedom of speech thing as well, but like sheer depiction of somebody or something that everybody has different opinions on is, you know, that's something to think about. Good times, rocking and rolling, still in pain, no big deal. It's Monday. Oh yeah, good news and bad news about no, actually this is, you know, no, I don't even know why I said that. Forget about the good news and bad news. It's always sunny, it's always good news up in this bitch. Another story that I heard, that I read, sure some of you guys and gals might have heard it as well. I didn't know this, but apparently, so, you know, Reg Harry, formerly known as Prince Harry, has apparently dropped a book. I would not read the book. I'm not interested in anything relating to the royal family. As a matter of fact, in some cases, you're like, less is more. When it comes to the royal family, less is more. For me anyway, that's just my opinion. Love everybody, but it's just like, oh God, it is not of interest to me. But there was this one article that caught my attention. I had to read it, and apparently it depicted Harry was talking about his experience in Afghanistan when he was serving in the military, and he just like, there was an article and he said apparently, allegedly, he said he said he dropped 25 I guess Taliban members or people or you know, soldiers fighting on, you know, from the Afghanistan point of view, I guess. They might have been Taliban. It doesn't matter. what's interesting is 25, and he just dropped it right there. And is that for reals? When I read it, is what I said to myself, because it made me laugh a little bit, just because it's the way it was worded. It was just like, if I can paraphrase it for you guys and gals out there, it went something along like this, and when it's wartime, mate. When it's wartime, it's go time, And I just, from I went from silver spoons to silver bullets real quick like that. I see red. I see, because the world, when it comes, and when you're in a situation, you're like in the sandbox with your mates, right? You're playing a sandbox, you're doing the Xbox, you're down in Afghanistan or somewhere, mate, right? And it's bullets flying in the game, and they're like, "You're getting the chopper, Harry. Getting the chopper, Harry." And so I get me chopper, and I chop off up into the up in the air, and I'm up there. And when it comes down to when you're in that mindset, right? And when you're in that mindset, it just comes down to two things: goodies versus baddies. And when I see goodies shooting at baddies, it makes me want to partake in shooting from the good. No, when I see baddies versus goodies, and I'm like, man, it's hard to tell who's goody, who's bad. Who cares about the goodie and the baddie, regardless of the fact of the matter is, there's goodies and there's baddies in this world. I'm like, man, I'm this chopper, mate. See, I just be dropping them leads, bullets, murking. Cause I see goodies and baddies, and I was just like, man, it gets to me, and I want to be like one of the guys, and I am one of the guys. When I was in the army, yeah, see, I'm in the army with just the boys. It's just me, Harry, and the boys, and it's just Harry and the boys, man. Goodies and baddies, remember that. Something along those lines. That's what the article read. That's how I read it in my mind. And I'm just like, man, goodies and baddies. Tight, but also like, yeah, I don't, it's just like, man, I could like, it's nothing I genuinely love everybody. It's just literally any prince or princess or king. It's just, it's because we live in a world where the mode of conduct, or at least what's preached out there to peepsies, is like, oh, I believe in a meritocracy, and essentially a monarchy of sorts anywhere in the world for that is the exact opposite of a meritocracy. It's just like God-given rights, divine right to rule for no reason, given to people by people, but it's weird. It's a juxtaposition. My brain just, the gears jam up when I see royal families. I'm like, brain seizure, foaming at the mouth, but how? It is a 2023. But we love our symbols. They do bring in a lot of dough for tourism, so I does respect business. I does get that, because it is, England's lovely, it is, and it's beautiful. I love British people. I love y'all. You guys are like family. We are one. Man, oh man, we're tight. Point is, royal families of anywhere, it's just like, what are we paying you guys for? Anywhere, really. What is the point of all this? These people owning all this land and resources, and I'm not saying, take a good chunk and just, but that's, anyway, point is, fam. Point is, Harry said he's dropped some bodies because when it comes down to it, in the line of battle, and you gotta just, he's baddies, mate. And it's hard to see that, but then again, like, if it's true, I personally don't think it's true, because it's just, you look at someone and you're like, anybody's legit capable of anything, but at the same rate, it's just like, again, from silver spoons to silver bullets, somehow I just don't see somebody, going from like, being a prince in this day and age, and, being, and then being like, when it comes down to it, bruh, I'm just like in the field with the boys and we got a mission. And I'm not saying I don't know to what extent he did his is there anybody that can verify this story? Was there somebody sitting beside him? Harry, let me do it, mate. Let me get the blood on me hand. Let me get the blood on me hand, mate. You want this? You're a prince. And then the Harry goes, no, Charlie, I want me blood on my hand. No, I want that blood on my hands. I want blood in me hands. I want bloody hands. Charlie, let me have this. I won't have much, but let me have this. I'm one of the boys, Charlie. And then Charlie's like, oh man, if anything happens to me, tell my wife and kids I love. And Harry's like, shut the fuck up, Charlie. This is about me and goodies and bays everywhere. 25 apparently. That's a really, it's like not even like maybe 24, maybe 27, exact 25. In the chopper, I knew exactly how many men's 25 exact. I would have been like, 22 and a half, 17 and 3/4. 25 is so exact from the top. And it's all like desert, everything's khaki, everything's shrubs and brick and mortar, everything blends together. How do you even know you're killing people? Maybe that's just potato bags you're shooting, Harry. Maybe they hold like, maybe they full on like, they full on like Shutter Island him, Shutter Island, where you go along with the story where they're like, yeah, he's got some, let him get some aggravation out, and they set up some like, so they set up a bunch of like potato gunny bags down under, and he's like, and Charlie's like, here's your chance, Prince Harry, right, Harry, and then do this for your country. You're one of the boys, mate. I don't know, and he's shooting at gunny bags filled with potatoes, and he's like, oh man, I just killed like 25 people. I'm a hero. It's weird. It's a weird story to drop after all this time. If that's something that, if I drop that story the second I get out of the old military, if you're gonna drop it, you know what I mean? That's a cool story, not a good story. Again, this is one of those situations where I'm not like, I'm not like happy at all. I'm neutral on this story, very much the same. The same way I felt about that 6-year-old shooting that teacher. It's the same way I feel about this. Horrible in essence of it all, but it is a funny story. It's because like, man, from like 20 cutlery pieces to like it's a big gap stretch. Something, and that's but I'm not saying it didn't happen. If it did happen, does he have like flashbacks? Harry, do you have flashbacks, dude? So these are things that occupy my mind, and I do genuinely love everybody. And are the royals royally annoying overall? All royal families overall in the globe, are they hella annoying? Of course. So it's not like anything personal or anything like that. It's just like, a lot of money, a lot of dough, a lot of access to everything, and literally have pretty much done like not like nothing, but But what am I even saying? The point is this couple, Harry, and while we're on this topic, Harry and Meghan Markle, I believe this two couple, they're like, I don't know too much about the whole thing. Apparently they wanted to get rid of the bond between them and the royal family, hence Reg Harry right now being Reg Harry, no longer known as Prince Harry or PH, just Reg Harry and Reg Meghan Markle. They wanted to go do their thing. They wanted to just be away from the tabloids, but all I hear is just more of them. And together, individually they seem, again, I love all people, but individually tolerable, together super annoying. Individually, I could get behind your careers, dude. If you guys, and I don't know if I've said this before, and I don't wish this on anybody or anything, but just for the sake of, if you are going to remain in the public eye for everybody else's sake and your own sake and your family's sake, all your family's sake, for everybody's sake, I don't really wish this on anybody, but man, have you guys considered getting a divorce? Because I think honestly that would be like one of the best moves. I'm just saying from like, I think this would actually work really well for both your careers. Meghan could then go and pursue her acting career for legit, like, what are we doing here, fam? And Prince Harry could, that's a prince I could get behind. A divorce a Prince Harry, divorce a Reg Harry. But also, like, now you're on the loose. Now you're on, like, the prowl. Now you're, like, a phase of just, like, whatever. Like, you driving fast cars, going to, like, dinners. Being a eligible bachelor for a good 10 years, and then doing things, whatever it is that you want to do. I'm just saying. No? Think about it. If it's something you guys thought about, again, I don't say this for most people. And maybe, you know what? And maybe you're like, oh, man, we're going to use this as fuel to, make our bond even stronger. We'll show him. That'll make me happy. If you stay together, that'll make me happy because I love people in relationships. But overall, for others' sake. But who cares what other people think at the end of the day? So I'm gonna just take your word for it, Harry. You killed 25 peepsies, and in terms of, was this a wise move in terms of like, does it cost a lot of money to like keep the royal family, any royal family, safe and secure? Absolutely. Did this probably add more fuel to the fire? Apparently taxpayers don't pay for Harry's security, but then like, it's weird that you would put this out now. I find it weird. And is there anybody that can, make sure this story is valid? Because like, man, it's a hard stretch from like, Prince to like hardcore. And I just take a machine gun and like from a chopper. And it's, I'm not saying he's not chopped. I'm not saying he's not been in a chopper, but I'm just saying a little bit questionable to say you go from like, it's a little bit of a stretch, in my imagination anyway. It's just what I think, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Think about the divorce, though. I'm just saying, putting it out there. I don't wish this on anyone, but again, if it's something you've given thought already to, maybe it's worth pursuing. Harry gets closer to the royal family. The family's together, kicking it. They got a cool uncle in the family now. Or you can go down this path. Whatever you guys choose, I'm all for it. But like, I preferably want to hear and see less of it. But that's just me. Anyway, moving forward, ladies and gents, what else is going on? What else is happening? If I'm not mistaken, some sort of chopper in relation to chopper. Segway time! Boys and girls, if we can chopper away for a second, I believe it was at SeaWorld or something. I'm not even sure what it had to do with SeaWorld, but I heard a chopper went down, it crashed. A bunch of people got really horribly injured. And it's just like, at this point, I just thought about this. I'm like, yo, can we all agree, like, in terms of modes of transportation, regular people, all day, everyday people, if you don't gotta take a chopper, I'm gonna just go ahead and put it out here for you. Don't take a chopper. They're not the best modes of transport. Fuck choppers, as a matter of fact. Fuck helicopters, as a matter of fact. And the only time anybody should be getting into a helicopter is probably for emergency use. I'm talking emergency, I gotta get up there to tell you about the weather situation. Emergency, we're having a high speed, slow speed, medium speed chase on the old freeway. The highways are locked, they're in a gridlock, so I'm gonna have to get the old eagle eye in the sky to have a good old look and tell you where these baddies, so we can send our goodies after them, eh? Goodies and baddies after all in this world. And that's what it is, man. So in those scenarios, I could see, emergency scenario, somebody needs to be, airlifted to a hospital because you were like out there busy playing sports, like extreme sports like curling or the bobsled, or creative ice skating, synchronized swimming, paddle boarding, ping pong, freestyle yo-yo, underground dominoes, you name it, go fish, extreme sports. The point is, you get injured, you're like, man, not another injury during go fish. Your wife's begging you to quit playing go fish, you know how hard it is on your body. And you're like, baby, you know what you were getting yourself into when you married me. Go fish. Oh, my arm. Pulled an arm, pushed an arm, dropped an arm. Oh my God. It's a zombie. My arm's falling off whilst playing go fish. Things happen. And you got to get airlifted. I could see that. Okay, keep a chopper for airlifts, emergency cases. Wars, not condoning them, but I'm just saying, if you need one, maybe it's applicable there. But all other people, if you were to tell me, let's do an afternoon in a chopper, let's see the city from a chopper's point of perspective. Why? Have we not had the pleasure of being in airplanes, all of us at this point, most of us at least once or twice or several times? Didn't you know what it looks like? I gotta be like lower than an airplane, whizzing around with a propeller on top of this tin can. The thing with airplanes, at least they can glide if the engine goes down. You got a lot of maneuvering to do. There's plenty of, but choppers, as soon as that propeller stops working, you are in a whole world of pain, my friend. And the doors are always seemingly open, at least in the movies. So how many people we lost just sliding in and out of the doors? Think about that. Why would you do that to yourself? I want to get in a chopper at SeaWorld or somewhere else. I want to go on top of this mountain, get dropped off with this chopper so I can start climbing mountains. And, come see me at the second peak of this mountain, dude. I want to see the chopper. And you're like, this is probably not the safest place to drop a chopper. And it's all mountain ridges and mountain tops and deep valleys and harsh wind conditions. You're like, but I gotta, I spent the $75,000, fam. And after I post this picture behind my office and my desk, behind my office desk, office space, all the boys can see that this company's driven. This company has got a good leader on their shoulders, and this leader's got a good head and shoulders on his body, and that's a man or a lady who's just not shaved for several months, who is from the far looking, but also admirable. Gosh, doing it big together. That's the point. But like, if it comes down to it, you'd have to pay me an insane amount of money to get into a chopper. After Kobe Bryant, that was it, fam. That was it. I'm not, you know what I mean? And that's Kobe Bryant with all the, it's not like he got into like a cheap chopper too. He didn't just get on one of those like custom made DIY, little, make it in your backyard in your hot tub or your mom's bathtub, DIY drones that you can just make in your mother's bathtub, hot tub. It's not he had a good chopper, but nonetheless, the chopper went down, lost lives, families devastated, communities at a loss of words. What happened? Choppers, why? Because we're like, at a certain point, people are like, either like, oh, we gotta like recreationally get into a chopper, baby. Let's, we know it's a fun day. Let's get in a chopper and put these headphones, these giant noise canceling headphones where I can't hear you can't hear me, but let's get an overview of the city. As if nobody's seen an overview. You want an overview of the city? Watch any old movie. The beginning of almost any movie is an overview of the city. It's a beautiful overview of the city of New York, Chicago, Detroit, Toronto, anywhere, Miami, overview of the city. It's almost in every movie there's an overview of beautiful city. I've seen enough overviews of the city where I don't feel the urge to be like, I gotta dish out money to go sit in a tin can with a propeller that just might be, willy-nilly just going, Mayday, Mayday. No thanks. No Mayday. I don't even know what that means. Mayday, Mayday. Please. Point is, fam, think about it. Save a life. And this, I believe a few people got badly hurt. I'm not sure if anybody died in that crash. I hope they didn't. If they did, rip. If they didn't, good. And good on the pilot. Because that is, where are we going now? Oh, this is your captain speaking. All hands on deck. That's a weird world out there, man. For you to go and spend money on that, that's to each their own. I'm not judging, but at the same rate, it's one of those things where I'm like, if I can just only save one more life. If you were thinking of, proposing to her tonight on the old helicopter, don't do it. Don't propose to her on the old helicopter. Sure, helicopter. Point out the fact that, man, what a marvelous feat of engineering and ingenuity. Humans gathering together and putting their minds and creating stuff that can take us from point A to point B and take off in a horizontal fashion, which is weird. Vertical. I meant to say vertical. Planes go horizontal, but then, you know what I mean. I fucked up. I meant to say vertical, okay? Guilty as charged. I fucked up. But, it happens to the best of us. The point is, point out to a helicopter, what a great, marvelous, emergency case vehicle. It's not one of those things where you're like, what a grand idea. Let's get on a helicopter, a leisurely afternoon on a helicopter ride. Can you hear me now? And it's like big old fucking propeller chop, going really fast. dipping a little bit to the side. What happened to our dog? Oh, I don't know. The door was open. Oh, Poochie. There's Poochie. Say bye. Bye, Poochie. But that's life, man. That's life. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to say that, you know, I thought I would be biting more on my loose gum here, but actually it's been nice. I've not yet made it bleed more than it already has. I'm hoping by midweek, hopefully, latest by this Friday, the puffiness should go down and we should be back to a regularly scheduled program. Where can you find these fine videos you're asking? Every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday. Glad You Made It is the name of this. So it's the name of the show, and it's been another so-so production. We do it every week, literally. We're growing, we're learning. I'm excited about the new year. Many of things are happening, personally, societally. We got a lot of things to discuss. We got a lot of things to, get through, achieve, accomplish, and they're going to be hurdles, and it'll be fun. All of it's going to be fun, I promise you. Whatever you're doing out there, keep on rocking and rolling. Just on a final note, what would you rather? And I've talked about this before, but I've given it even further thought, because sometimes certain topics, you gotta just come back to it. What would you rather have? A big bushy vag versus a shaved vag? Bush vag all day. Bring back the bush camp. I'm bringing it back. I'm hoping to start a campaign. Bring back the bush campaign. Bring back the bush campaign is the name of this campaign. We're bringing it back together. If I can get more ladies to bring back the bush, I am speaking on behalf of, I'm going to go ahead and say it, I represent all men. I represent all men. Generally speaking, all men prefer a nice late 70s, early 80s to beginning of the 90s bush. I think 90s is where we lost it. 90s, beginning of 90s in terms of bush. Other places we've made gains. We've gained some ground. Sometimes we lost some ground. Let's bring it back. As a fella who is now, fully coming into his own hands in the evenings, like a gentleman, no problem. I'd like to just say that, yes, I could fully get behind the bush. The bush is magical. The bush is a place of comfort. It is basically, I've said this before, I'll say it again, it is a pillow for a weary head and soul to just, after a good old-fashioned 69, just rest your head on that bush for a second. Let's just listen. It's like the ocean. It smells like it too, a wee bit, but we love it nonetheless. That's what I'm talking about. Not to say that shaved vages are, I love a good shaved vag too, but I'm just saying preference-wise, at this stage in life, and this came to me with all the wisdom and the teeth, it's just like, oh man, you are really, again, coming into your own hands. So the point is, the bush, I understand it. I get it now. As a young man, I was like, whoa, what is going on here? As a grown man, fully appreciate it. It's mystery. It's like, what is there? What even is that? What's behind the old bush? You'll say to yourself. And not to mention all the coloring. You know what I mean? Colors. It's wonderful. Really, think about it. Ladies, gents, think about it. I think if we can make one little change this year is bring back the bush, bring it back heavy. To each their own. I'm not saying go full to each their own. I'm just saying I now feel very comfortable saying that, and it's just literally knowing what you want. And I'd like a big old bush now in this time of my life. That's the type of vag that I look for. That's the type of vag that I hope to one day find and hold on to, a soft bush. Curly, wavy, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's more the overall aesthetics. And yeah, again, shaved vag all day, any day as well, not complaining about a shaved vag. Never going to complain about a shaved vag, but I'm just saying, in terms of overall aesthetics, would I like to look at a painting with a lady who's not looking like she's breaking her back in the gym? She's got curves and a nice bush in a nice painting, versus a lady who looks maybe a little bit sickly, maybe a little bit too tired, maybe a little bit too worked out at the gym or something. No bush. Which of those paintings are you more drawn to? Unanimously, everybody said lady with the nice curves and the old bush. So I'm just, and that just, less pressure on everybody. 2023, I think we can just move forward as saying, less pressure on everybody. Let it grow. And yeah, I for one have got your back. Plenty of other men and women who have got your back. You're not alone out there. And yeah, if we can just again normalize this, so again, one, I don't have to go ahead and like type in, oh, hairy bush, big bush, ladies with bushes, because it's just like, what are we doing here? Just make it normal so that I don't have to go out of my way. That way we have, we could just say we got a little W there. We got a little W there. We got a little W here, and it's just moving forward. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, a lot is happening. I'm so grateful to be here with you guys and gals, wherever you are, sending you a lot of love. Thank you for all the love and support. Check out the shows once again every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Glad You Made It is the name of the show. Where can you find it, you're asking? Glad you asked. YouTube, patreon.com/Rob Sadri, and good old Instagram. I'll see you guys back here again on Wednesday. Peace out.